is Andrew Gasparo. I'm the president and owner of Landmark Consultants Corp. And we're in the grand orchestra level of the King Loews Theater. The theater itself is in the process of becoming the third largest performing arts center in the city of New York. You have Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, and now with the new work that's been done here at the King Loews Theater, this will be the third largest performing arts center in New York City. Built in 1926, opened in 1929. This theater was based on the Versailles Opera House in Paris. And the architect at the time had visited that opera house and loved the grand scheme and built this based on that design. Right now, we're in the process of doing a national landmark historic restoration of this theater. Back in the 50s, this was the place to be, visited by the likes of Dean Martin, Marlon Brando, Frank Sinatra. The Rat Pack had hung out here, eventually got run down, tax liened and shut down in 1977. Theater took a lot of water, and there was a significant amount of water damage here in the theater. Just as an example of what 30 years of water damage can do to seats. I mean, literally gone, deteriorated to nothing. And this is just an example of what this theater's been going through. We're about 7 months into the restoration process. The theater itself is absolutely gorgeous, and the amount of detail that is in this theater, it's an amazing feat what was able to take place back in the 1926-29 era. As part of this project, my initial scope was to do the environmental survey work. And what that means is I come into a building like this and I basically give my client and the owner all the environmental exposures that they're going to come into. If there's asbestos on the roof, we're going to sample that, and then we might have an abatement out of that as well. The survey itself was a 3-month process. I had to basically crawl through every crevice, every area of this building, 68,000 square feet, and find anything that I would consider an environmental concern. This room specifically became an environmental concern. Asbestos, lead, mercury. Started this company back in 2004. Initiated the environmental engineering and remediation idea out of 9/11, which is how I got involved in doing this type of work. At the core, we started as an environmental engineering company, and through that got introduced to a lot of facets of construction and was able to learn basically through osmosis on how to develop a company, how to develop problem solving and the schematics of a job. Through that, I was able to develop a demolition arm, a construction arm, but it's all based on the core of environmental engineering. This project was immense as far as demolition was concerned. The amount of mechanical equipment, stage equipment, the boilers, the fan equipment, the HVAC, the high walls, the ceilings, it just was an immense project. Became torch experts on this job. I brought in a couple of 20-year vets who have handled a torch, and that's all they've done, and they taught my guys how to do it. We had to get certified in torch handling and fire guard, which is offered by the New York City Fire Department. This is where the foundation for the new wing is going to be for the theater. We're adding 30,000 square feet of space, and it's going to be a joy for me to give this back to them because this was a challenge for us, and I can now check this off and move on. The biggest challenge of this job is going to be that high wall, which we're going to be doing next. Part of our scope is doing full demo of this arbor wall, which is where all the rope apparatus and all the set changes were conducted. Pinnacle point of our project, this was one of the biggest cruxes here on the project, was to get this wall down. We're about to hopefully break through to daylight.
We got a hole through. Once we get it down a little bit more, we'll be able to put the gun sideways and take it off a lot faster. The hard part is gunning it from the beams to the brick. Once we open that hole, I think it'll be smooth sailing right after that.
Areas of this theater that people never expected us to get down are on the floor in the dumpster and being recycled as we speak. This theater was cavernous. There were 30-foot ceilings. When I walked in, it looked like it was an 8-foot ceiling. This room had a boiler, 2 tanks, a fan that was 12 feet high, and this basically was all the mechanical operations for the entire theater. The amount of work that took place in this room was incredible. This room took us about 6 weeks to get into the state that it's in right now. Even the other contractors on this job just couldn't believe the amount of material. It was a conga line of material for weeks that went out of this room by hand to get this place in the condition that it's in right now. And when I walked this job and did the initial survey, I said to myself, this room, when I walk out, is gonna be nothing but concrete and a very high ceiling, and I'm here now. I surround myself with qualified people, and I bring in guys that have the heart to work and the ability to learn, and that's the single most important thing for any business, is the desire, A, to show up, and B, to be driven to do the work that needs to be done. This is part of the demo crew. These guys just spent 10 grueling hours ripping down the high wall. As you can see, this is hard work. I got Ricky, Joe, I got Richie here, Mikey, everybody's got a nickname, Demo King, Richie the Madman, Ricky Ricardo, Joey Lawnmower. I don't think I'll ever encounter a job like this again. Every job we do, it's a fingerprint. I came into this theater, I didn't know what to expect. And when I come back to this theater in 2015 and 2016, this entire area is going to be affected by the construction and development of this theater. It's unquestionable, and I look forward to seeing that process and seeing the lives that get changed for the better.